Up there is Vegeta from last week, and yo, Tom Fiddzy here, Tom of Midgard, and this week's episode, What If episode 7, I think it was? Yeah, episode 7. I feel like this one's going to be quite a mixed episode, you know? You got, first of all, you got Captain Marvel fighting Thor, which is just controversy in itself. The entire time I was watching this, I was just like, it's going to trigger some people, right? Because yeah, there was that whole thing. I'm sure you've seen it with like Brie Larson and Chris Hemsworth. They were like having an interview. They were talking about fighting. And it got like super awkward and stuff. And you know, it's been like a big debate, like who's stronger. So you have that, and throughout it as well, I was constantly like, oh, if she catches Thor's hammer, man, it's over. But yeah, you had that, and then you had obviously this was like a more laid back episode. It was a comedy, heavily comedy episode. You know, one of the biggest criticisms sometimes of Marvel is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, and that it's just a little bit too funny and lighthearted. And this episode is like the one that's people are going to point to with that. But you know what? I enjoyed it. This is one of my favorite What If ones. I think I enjoyed it much more than I did last week, much more than the first one. It was just like, because you'd never see this in the film. I mean, you might see some of it, but you never see this kind of just ridiculousness that, okay, Thor without Loki becomes this party dude who goes to planets and brings every like comic book space character down to Earth, and they just party, and the universe seems like a better place for it, you know? Even though he's going around planets like making a mess. You know, you got like Ravagers there, you got Ice Giants there, you've got Nebula was working for Thanos at the time there, you know? People hanging out and having fun, and people that would be enemies, you know, having a good time. And yeah, crazy. But I thought it was really fun. I thought it was a very sweet episode. I really like that they got Natalie Portman in for this, and I really like Jane and Thor. The fact that even though, like, regardless, even though everything's different, they're still kind of destined to be together. So that brings up hype for Thor: Love and Thunder to see them to reconnect as well. And yeah, it was just fun. There are a few like criticisms I have with it. We'll get into them in a little bit. The Captain America, not Captain America, sorry, Captain Marvel and Thor's fight, I thought was handled actually really well. You know, there was no conclusive victor, and in the end, they kind of gained some common ground, and you know, they settled it out of a fight and stuff. And I thought it was good. You know, he was like taking the hits and stuff. Yeah, a few times, and he was being played more for a laugh in some of the scenes, but you know, he was taking the punches. He barely felt them, as he said, and she was like, "I'm holding back." She never grabbed the hammer, which was good. In fact, she was stopped by it when it was like on her chest. You couldn't get up. I was like, "Is she just gonna like stand up and it's gonna fall off?" But no, they kind of kept that in, which was really cool. That yeah, she still can't beat Mjolnir, which was good. But then she was like, "Oh, but I've been pulling my punches and stuff," which I'm sure he could have taken. You know, he wasn't Stormbreaker 4 either. So, you know, it was good. And we actually got to see them fight, which is something that, you know, I doubt we will ever see in the MCU, you know. So that was really cool. It was great seeing all of the cameos appearing in this. I really like Howard the Duck in this. I love the fact that he married Darcy. I thought Darcy was really funny in this. Sometimes some of her jokes kind of felt a little bit flat. There were a few jokes in this that felt a little bit kind of flat and a little bit out of place. You know, like Crossbones being like, "I never get to fire the nukes," and like sulking about it. You know, would somebody really say that in like a shield high up military situation? No, but it was quite a funny joke. I thought some of the Surtur stuff were a bit goofy, like, but and also the fact that he was there. You know, for being a party for it's just united people with parties. You know, the fact that Surtur was there hanging out and just being fun. You know, it's like I say, it seems like a better universe for it, apart from maybe at the end. But we'll get to that. You know, hey, I'm sure if Thanos turned up, you could have like T'Challa could turn up. They could talk it out. You know, again. There were moments in this as well where I was just like, why isn't like Doctor Strange stand up or anything like that? You know, Thor mentioned like the refilling beer. Maybe he was there having a party. I don't know. But yeah, you got to wonder why it was just Shield, and then they had to call Captain Marvel. You know, why was nobody else doing it? Was Doctor Strange just like, what? they're just partying. I'm still protecting the world from Dormammu and stuff. I'm the bouncer, and I'm not letting the interdimensional big threats get into this party, you know. Um, and yeah, I don't know really what else to say about it apart from the fact that I was generally just enjoying it, smiling, having a good time with this episode. You know, it wasn't a serious one. It was the what if wasn't like some grand concept, but there were some kind of good stuff in there. You know, what if Thor grew up without Loki and didn't learn the kind of lessons that he would have learned through just having a brother around him, and it was called like what if Thor was an only child. I mean, technically they aren't brothers, you know, as we saw in this. Loki is actually a completely different species to Thor, and it was great to see Loki as a frost giant and like the height of a frost giant as well. That was really awesome because I always wonder, you know, even when he goes to like the TVA, why doesn't he ever revert back to his ice giant form, you know? Just because he was raised with Asgardians, why does he look like an Asgardian, right? And I was wondering, are we ever going to see like a variant of Loki in the Loki series where he is an ice giant? So it was cool that we got to see it here. Once again, this is something that animation can do. Maybe in the future, maybe in Loki season 2, we can see ice giant Loki actually in the show. And you know, I do kind of wonder now that Loki is kind of going off and doing his own thing, maybe he can tap into his ice powers a little bit more. But anyway, we're talking about what if. We're talking about the Thor episode 7. This is the review. We're not talking about Loki in the future. That's just like some stuff. Would you like to see Loki start to develop and use his ice powers more? I personally would, and seeing him here as that, I thought it was really cool. I loved his character as it. The only criticism I have, and this is one of the criticisms I wanted to bring up, was it was called What If Thor Was an Only Child? And then him and Loki are still like broing out. They're calling they're more like friends, but they're calling each other like brothers from another mother and stuff. And it's just like, oh, I don't know. Like, wouldn't they have if they can't? You kind of get the sense that they grew up together still. And it's like, wouldn't they have still had some of them interactions? I mean, I guess Loki was a very different person, and I'd like to get a what if from Loki's perspective of that situation to see even more how much it changed him. He seems happy. He seems really happy. So that's interesting. And yeah, I also thought it was interesting the fact that the what if was what if Odin did the right thing and gave Loki back to his people. You know, it makes it seem like once again Odin in our universe, like the MCU we know. I don't think it's real. The Odin in the MCU that we watch, the main one, the main timeline, the TVA's timeline, Kang's timeline. That Odin is an asshole and a villain, right? But in that what if situation, he did the right thing. And for the most part, it seems to have actually paid off, as I said earlier on, because everyone's friends. And Loki seems happy and everything. And in the end, Thor did learn a lesson and ultimately met Jane and has started to get back on the straight path. But the criticism comes from the fact that because even though they were still close friends, I feel like they miss an opportunity where we could have seen them actually as proper antagonists, you know? I would have liked it if Loki being back with his people actually was a very negative thing. And, you know, instead it just made it if Loki was back with his people, everything was fine. Yeah, but it would have been cool if he was like an antagonist of Thor and they were like, they proper hated each other and they were fighting and waging wars. Then you couldn't really have the Party Force stuff, I guess, because it'd be a very different timeline, a very different what if, but maybe one for the future. I feel like there was an opportunity missed with that. But regardless, it was a fun, silly, stupid episode. So they went the fun, silly, stupid route with Loki in it. And it was still fun because I was still happy to see it and it gets the speculation going on them things. But that's the biggest criticism I have with this episode. Apart from a few of the jokes kind of feeling a bit too stupid, mainly like the Surtur ones. You know, who was he talking to when he's like, who was he doing them bits for, you know? I liked the visuals in this. I'm going like random just because I'm getting things as they come in my head. I like the visuals where you had like the names of the countries when they were fighting to go back to the fight. I like the fact that they fought all the way around the world. Thor completely destroyed Stonehenge, which, you know, not cool, man, but he fixed it again in the end. I thought Chris Hemsworth did a really good job with the voice. Thor was, obviously it's his voice, but, you know, he did really well doing it for the animation. It was really cool. He had some really good lines in it. The joke that really actually made me laugh out loud, and this was more towards the end of this episode where I was a bit more accepting of it, and I was just like, yeah, you know what, I'm actually just enjoying this, because at the start I was like, oh, I don't know, it seems like a bit stupid, but by the end of it I was like, I'm just having a fun time with this and all of the people. But the joke that really made me laugh out loud was when they were correcting and fixing the earth in like a montage, really silly, goofy, cartoony, but the fact that he righted the Leaning Tower of Pisa thinking that he did it in the party and he fixed it, that really got me chuckling. I really like that gag. Whoever wrote that and put that in, well done to you. And then finally, the final thoughts. Big flex with Frigga. You know, everyone in the universe is scared of her. Shame we never got to see her use her powers. You know, hyped up as this amazing witch. I wish one day we get to see it. Maybe that can be another what if. What if Frigga was out there fighting, you know, or something like that. And then the final thought is obviously about the end and who turned up at the end. You know, the Watcher was like, as they say, a happy ending. And it's just, I was sitting there and I was just like, well, are we really going to get a what if where it like actually has a conclusion and ends and doesn't feel like it's going to continue and everything's positive and happy? And then all of a sudden, Vision Ultron turns up, and big question marks there. You know, we've seen Ultron wielding the Infinity Gauntlet as well. We've seen Ultron on the posters and everything. So is he gonna be the big bad at the end of all of this? Is it a tease that his episode's next? Does it mean that he is in the same universe as Party 4? Because it looked like Party 4 was going to be very inconsequential, kind of like the Marvel Zombies, but no, not really. Or has he come from another one? It could be that maybe, you know, Thor coming to Earth triggered Tony Stark to build the same program that he did, the Ultron, and then in that universe there was no one to stop Ultron taking over Vision's body. So this is what happens if Ultron and Vision merge, become so powerful that he can get the Infinity Stones and stuff. I'm guessing that's what happened. You know, Thor and all that, they weren't there to stop that from happening. So yeah, that's really interesting. I hope it wasn't just like a little funny little tease at the end, because I'm even looking at, I've got like the what if screen on Disney Plus here on my computer, and I can see Ultron Vision standing right there. So, and then we also got the Gamora as Thanos one to come up as well. So 2 episodes left. I'm guessing one of them is gonna be some like team up one based on images and trailers and stuff that I've tried to not see but have been floating around. So yeah, well, the next 2 episodes. This was like the classic, like we're getting to the end of the season finale. Let's just have a little bit of fun. You know, the silly fun episode that gets you smiling, that makes you chuckle when you see the Leaning Tower of Pisa get corrected. We'll have one of them, and then we're going to get into the serious stuff. You know, it's classic. It's classic how TV series work. You know, you get your fun, you get your laid back, you get your chill, and then you get into some serious shit. And it seems like with Ultron turning up, we're going to get into some serious shit. And the way like the Watcher was like, oh my god, what? Like, yeah, he's getting involved. I'm surprised there weren't a shot of him like secretly partying, just like up in the clouds, just like, yeah, I want to be down there. You know, someone calling up to him, come on, get a drink, and he's like, no, I've got a job to do. Interesting. And yeah, I don't know why. It's probably my longest video that I've just talked about it. I'm pretty sure there's something else I wanted to mention, but I always forget. I always forget about to mention like one thing when it gets to the end of these reviews, because I just do it off the top of my head. Like in Shang-Chi, I forgot to mention that, what's her name? Katie. Why am I talking about that? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, Katie was just like, oh, I haven't got a purpose. I don't know what to do. You know, everyone's talking about having goals and stuff. What's mine? I don't know. Spent the whole film like being the best chauffeur driver, like the best getaway driver, like the girl behind the wheel, doing amazing stuff, getting through the bamboo forest, and then at the end it's like you need to find discipline and focus, and your thing is firing an arrow. That's Hawkeye's thing. Like your thing should have been like the car thing. Like, that was what you were really good at. You had it all along, and then they just shoehorned in. Anyway, that's for a different video. But yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about in this one. Jane was good. And her relationship with Thor, again, was good. There was some really fun stuff in it. Yeah, some of the jokes, like, felt very implausible. If it was the real world, I would have liked to have got more reactions to, like, the news, what was going on Earth's news, Midgard's news while this was happening. I remember what I was going to mention. Yeah, also, yeah, big Frigga Flex was a plus. Some good humour, some good jokes, good setup. So overall, positive, fun episode, even if a little bit silly. The final thing I wanted to mention was the fact that Heimdall didn't say anything. So obviously they couldn't get Idris Elba back. He just did a and that was it. Yeah, but it kind of worked for his character, and I like that it was like kind of jump cutting. But Heimdall once again proving that for a guy who can see everything, he's not very good at his job because he's never looking in the right place, apparently. Even though he sees, he's clearly looking at that unicorn planet that Thor was talking about, right? I'm surprised they didn't put in a joke there. It's like, what is he looking at? And he's like peeping on like a bikini planet or something like that. Anyway, yeah, fun episode, and it's put me in a great mood. So, well done. I enjoyed it. Party on, Thor.